Welcome to Aired Out, brought to you by Capitol Showplace Montpelier and Paramount Theater Barrie. At FGBtheaters.com, CW Print and Design in Barrie, at CWPrintDesign.com, Peak Entertainment, PeakDJ.com, Cruise Planners, your land and cruise experts. In Vermont, CruisePlanners.com, Donnybrook Fight Promotions of Williamstown, CBDCrave.com. Presented by CVTV, Public Access Channel 192 and 194, CVTV723.org, Fontaine Forestry and Millworks, Route 14 East Montpelier. Custom orders, rough, kiln dry, plain, tongue and groove, or shiplap. FontaineMillworks.com and Fly on the Wall Productions. Now, let's get aired out. And a good afternoon. I'm J.D. Green. You've got Aired Out. Gorgeous, gorgeous day out there. Roger Hill is saying, finally, welcome to summer. It's going to start feeling like it's sunshine and into the 80s today. I have a great guest with me this afternoon. I am so anxious to bring her on the air. I said earlier, this is a show, today especially, this is one that everybody should be paying attention to and watching. Every year, thousands of, all of us around America, thousands of people lose money to telephone scams. We're talking about maybe a few dollars, anywhere all the way up to their life savings. Telephone scams are one way that we bite the hook, but there are so many different ways that we can be taken advantage of. Scammers will say anything to basically get what they want, what they need. And, I think we say that the elderly are the ones that are most vulnerable, but really we all are, because these scams that are out now are so good. They are so convincing. We have Marichel Vaught with the Community of Vermont Elders, my guest in the studio, and I am so honored to have you in here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is so great.
Yeah.
I met you and I heard your presentation and I was like, wow, I've got to get her on my podcast.
It's a scary presentation.
It is. So,
yeah, but...
and this is what I was thinking is you do this presentation all over the place, all over the state.
Vermont, yeah.
And you do it so much. And I'm thinking, man, if we could capture this, if we could get this on Aired Out, maybe we'd reach a few more eyes and a few more ears so they could see and hear.
That's why we do it. I go all over the state. Other folks go all over the state from all other organizations spreading the same message, because we can't stop the scams from happening. We can't stop those phone calls from coming in. But we can help people save their money and not lose their money to these scammers, because once their money is gone, once they've given the money to the scammer, it's almost impossible to get that back.
Get it back.
Yeah.
When I heard that you were with the Community of Vermont Elders, I thought that your delivery, your presentation was going to be really targeted just for the elderly. Not the case.
No.
I mean, this is for everybody.
It's everyone.
Of all ages.
Yeah. The scammers, they target anyone and everyone. They know no age, no gender, no ethnicity. Sometimes they don't even know who they're calling. And they'll just see if that person will respond to them.
Sure.
But it is true that vulnerable people are more likely to fall for the scams, because they may not be aware that it's happening in their area.
Sure. These robocalls in Vermont, man, there has been so much attention. I'm sure this is like a broken record to you, but we've all been hearing about how bad they are in Vermont, but they're bad everywhere. But, I mean, you must be inundated with phone calls of, oh my God, help, this is,
I think
it is so frustrating.
It is. It's really frustrating, but I think most people see it as a norm. You get your phone rings and you're thinking it's either going to be a robocall or somebody I know.
Right.
So instead of running to the phone every time,
Sure.
getting excited about getting a phone call. We're like, okay, who's
Right.
calling me now? But the Attorney General for Vermont,
T.J.
Donovan, is doing a really good job with trying to stop robocalling, or he is working with other attorney generals across the country to pass federal legislation to make robocalling illegal.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure where it's at this point, but
Sure.
he and everybody in his office are
Right.
really supportive of making sure people don't
Sure.
lose their money to any
Sure.
of these. Yeah.
And I know you'll be moving through some different statistics here, but I can't help but say, someone like myself, busy guy like so many of us are, in touch with a lot of people,
Yep.
waiting to hear back from a lot of people, making a lot of phone calls, a lot of contacts, a lot of networking. When my phone rings, I'm so busy, I'm so running around that I'm sure that it's somebody that's returning my phone call.
Right.
And I'm kind of a moving target, so I don't want to miss that call, especially when I look down and I see 802. I'm answering it. I mean, there's no hesitation. I'm positive that it's somebody that must know me.
Right.
If they're calling me from an 802 phone number, they've got
Right.
to know me.
Exactly.
Not
and we
the
can't
case.
even trust that anymore. Yeah, so we'll talk about caller ID spoofing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to hear what
lots to talk about, but
we want to
yeah.
hear what you have
So
to.
my presentation that I do, it's called Beware Scammers.
Yeah.
And again, like you had mentioned, I'm with the Community of Vermont Elders. Cove has been around since 1981. We're a small nonprofit organization. We're now located in Montpelier. We were located in Berlin, and we just moved recently. So we're more central, right near the State House.
Sure.
So I typically talk about the latest scams, who the scammers are, how to prevent being scammed, signs of someone who has been scammed, and who to call for help.
Yeah.
So Cove, going back to Cove, Cove provides advocacy and education. Advocacy in that we have folks that go to the State House and testify on behalf of elder issues. We have a policy committee, so they find out what are the issues most important to older Vermonters right now. And right now our education programs are in the areas of scam and fraud prevention. We have the Senior Medicare Patrol program, which speaks solely to Medicare fraud, abuse, and errors. And nationwide, the amount of money that's lost to Medicare fraud, abuse, and errors is $90 billion a year. So you can imagine where that $90 billion could go rather than out into the ether somewhere. It could actually go to services, right?
Wow.
And a lot of it is just errors. People, can type in a wrong code and get charged for a surgery instead of getting, a simple mole removed.
Right.
So
Yeah. Right.
that program teaches people how to read their summary Medicare notice and just teaches them how to be vigilant with their Medicare information. And my program is called Building Bridges. We're funded by the Victim of Crime Act's money that's distributed by the Vermont Center of Crime Victim Services. And so I go around and I do presentations on general scams and fraud and financial exploitation. And there are a number of other organizations around the state that are doing the same thing. AARP Fraud Watch, the Attorney General's Office, Department of Financial Regulation. So there's a lot of people out there spreading the word. And it doesn't hurt that there are a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
But and the more you speak about it, the more people will come forward and say, hey, I've lost money. Or the more you speak about it, the more people say, that happened to me, and they don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people won't say that they lost money or report that they've lost money because they're embarrassed.
They're embarrassed
or they don't even know who to contact.
Right.
So we go around, we tell folks they're not the only ones.
Sure.
And we give them the information they need to contact appropriate agencies.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I like to focus on the
go.
top 10 scams reported to the Vermont Attorney General's office.
Oh, boy.
And
Listen
this was
up
for
now.
2018. And these are just the top 10 scams. There are way more than these, but...
Way more than 10.
Yeah, way more than 10. But 5,471 scams were reported to the AG's office last year. That's about 4% more than the year before. But that's not all of the scams that are happening in Vermont. We estimate that's probably about 15-20% of the actual scams because a lot of people don't report. And people who can report are people who have received the scam or have lost money to the scam.
Sure.
So even if they didn't lose money to the scam, it is good to report it because it's a data point that the state can have.
Yeah.
And they can also issue scam alerts to other folks in that area where the scam was targeting.
Sure.
So the number one scam, and this has been the number one scam for the last couple of years, is the IRS scam.
Okay,
And
that's
so
the blue. That's the blue
the big
section.
blue pie. So we've got IRS scams. That's number one. Number two is Social Security number phishing. Number three is computer tech support. Number four is grandchild imposter.
Oh, yeah, we
Number
gotta talk
five
about
is
that
the
one.
debt collection threats. Then there's spoofing. Then there's the reflector scam. Email extortion. Good old email extortion is back on the list. Publishers clearinghouse sweepstakes claims and your general sweepstakes claims. So we'll talk a little bit about each one and the tactics that the scammers use because they're relentless.
Sure.
They'll use any tactic to get your personal identification, to get your personal information so they
course.
can steal your identity.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that, and I see Vermonters filed, you said 5,471 scams
Yes.
with TJ Donovan's office. When they call you, they know information about you. So
That's right.
that's how they kind of break the ice
Yep.
to build a little bit of trust right off.
Exactly.
They may possibly even know your Social Security
They
number.
may know it, or they may know the last four digits,
last
and
four.
they may be hunting for the rest of it.
Sure.
They may know that your name through Facebook or social media site. Maybe a relative posted a photo of you, saying they were visiting you from out of town, and so now somebody knows where you live,
Right.
or the general area where you live. Or sometimes they're repeat victims.
Right.
So once somebody loses money to a scam, they could be victimized again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a lot of words here, but basically IRS scams. The way this call goes is that somebody calls you and says, I'm calling from the IRS and you owe us in back taxes and you need to pay that over the phone right away.
Because
and they
if you don't...
they use the threatening
the threat.
tactics. They will say, we'll have an officer over to your house. We're going to issue a warrant for your arrest, or we'll have your benefits taken away or your
Right.
driver's license taken away. And the most important thing we tell folks is that the IRS will not call you.
Can you please, I'm begging you,
Repeat it.
please repeat that.
The IRS will not call you. They will not call you. They may call you if you've gotten in touch with them and you're waiting to hear back, but they will never call you from out of the blue and tell you you owe them money or even ask you to verify information. So the IRS will not do that. You know who else won't do that? Medicare. Medicare will not call you. Again, they'll call you if you've contacted them and you're waiting to hear back from
Right.
them, but they will never call you from out of the blue to get your Medicare number or tell you you owe them any money. So as soon as somebody says, I'm calling from the IRS, you're not expecting a call from them, hang up.
Even if they know to the dollar figure
Right.
what you owe.
Right. Hang up. Hang up. Yep. So they can send fake emails that look legitimate. IRS will not send you an email. And the link that this particular email has, it will bring you to a fake website where you would enter in, you would think you'd have to enter in your information. You end up doing that, and the scammer then has all your information that you just entered. So they won't send you an email either. So what they won't do, they won't just call you randomly. They may get in touch with you if they're trying to do an audit, or you know that they're going to reach out to you. If the IRS really needs to reach you, and you owe them money, you will know, and you will get hundreds and hundreds of pieces of paper in the mail called notices, first of all.
Sure.
So these calls don't come from out of the blue. And they won't threaten either. They won't use those threatening tactics. And that's what gets people to hand the money over.
Sure.
Because these are professional criminals.
Yeah. And they're good, really
They
good.
are really good, yeah. So that number 2, Social Security phishing, is an attempt to obtain your Social Security number by posing as a Social Security administration or business. So they call up and they say, your Social Security number has been compromised. Somebody tried to steal your identity, so we suspended it. And we just need to confirm your number so we could reinstate it.
So they've scared you. It's a scare tactic.
They've scared you. And so
different from the threat, this is a scare.
Right. And they can sound like the most professional person in the world. Yeah. But something to know, Social Security numbers do not get suspended. Do not get suspended. So if in doubt and you get this call, hang up on them. Call the Social Security office with the number that you have for them.
Yeah.
Just to verify it.
Your local Montpelier.
Yeah, your local one, and just to verify it. So if you're feeling in doubt. It's just another tactic for them to get your Social Security number. The computer tech support scams.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. A lot of folks.
I tell you right now, when I was driving here today, I'm like, should I admit? Should I admit how much of a sucker I am and what I have fallen for? I have fallen for this one.
Yeah.
Because I've got stuff on my computer. I have, pictures of that are so sentimental to me.
Yep.
When I see this pop up on my computer, it's instant fear. Oh my God, I'm going to lose all of that stuff I love. I can't even look at that.
Yeah. Well, I travel around the state. I work remotely. I rely on my laptop. So if anything were to happen to my computer, I'm in panic mode, and I will do anything, to try to get my information back. But that, again, it's a scare tactic. These things pop up and they say, warning, warning, you have a virus.
So here's what happens when you click on any of this.
Yeah.
What happens?
So if you click on it, what could happen is you do get a virus on your computer, and then you're beholden to that phone number to help get that virus out, and then you end up paying them. Or you've given access to the scammer. You've given access of your computer to the scammer. So then they can go in, get your username, your passwords, your photos, clear everything out, hold them for ransom.
Literally.
And tell you, well, there was a gentleman who was a photographer. He's a retired photographer, and he would keep his photos in the cloud rather than on a disk. He had one of these scams happen to him, and the scammers got a hold of his photos and said, every time you want a photo, you have to pay me for it. Yeah. So he paid some money out, but he eventually got his photos back, but had to go through that whole ordeal just because he clicked on one of these boxes that popped up. So what you want to do is when these messages pop up, and they look official, like this one looks like it's from Microsoft. If you're not expecting that, just be vigilant. So when you see a pop-up come up, don't click on it. Don't even click on the X to X out of it, because that can even open up the pop-up. So what you want to do is you see the pop-up come up. If you have a laptop, just turn it off. Turn it off.
Close the laptop.
Turn it off. Press that off button.
Power off.
Power it off. Don't touch anything. Don't accept the power off button. If you're on a desktop computer, just turn off the power on the big box thing.
Or unplug the machine pull it right out of the wall.
Right. Don't X out of that screen. Don't click on anything to say cancel. Just shut it off. Wait, 15, 30 seconds. turn your computer back on, that pop-up should be gone. If it's not, do it again. Should be gone. If it's not, still don't touch anything. Bring that computer to somebody who can help you get rid of that. Somebody reputable, right, that you can bring it to.
But don't click the X.
Don't even click on the X to X out, because that could make other windows pop up, or that is still just a way for them to get you. It's basically an enter button as well, pressing an enter button as well.
Disguised.
So to be safe, just shut it down. Yeah. Wow. I was doing one of these presentations, and one of the employees of the organization I was speaking with said, yeah, I have to go back to the office because I just dealt with that. I opened up one of those screens this morning, and our IT guy has to fix our computer. So it's very prevalent. You can even get a phone call. There are people who get phone calls and say, I'm calling from Microsoft, and we detect that your computer has a virus. Microsoft or Apple or any of those companies, they can't tell if your computer has a virus. They're not sitting in their room, monitoring everybody's computer. Right. And so they're just banking on having somebody who answer the phone who doesn't know much about computers and will fall for it. And so if they call you and tell you they're from Microsoft, telling you have a virus on your computer, hang up. And if you get that pop-up, don't click on anything. Just don't type anything. Just shut down your computer.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one is the grandchild imposter scam.
This is huge.
This one is huge, and it's interesting because when I talk about this, there are people that laugh and scoff and say that would never happen to me because I can recognize my family member's voice. So the way this particular scam works is you get a phone call, and they say, Grandpa? You're like, oh, Dan, is that you? Yeah, this is Dan. I'm in jail in Canada, and Officer so-and-so is here to tell you how you can bail me out. Okay, so basically that's it.
And I've only been allowed one phone call, right?
Right. Only, don't tell Mom. Don't tell Mom I'm here, okay? So they're saying they are a family member, and they are in need of bailing out. So you need to wire money somewhere to get them out. And sometimes they have a name of a family member.
Yeah.
Or sometimes
easy to get.
sometimes you've just given that out. Now, people say I'd never fall for that. Well, these are professional criminals again. Most of these calls come in at 3:00 in the morning, wake you up in the middle of the night, throw you off guard. They're using a family member's name. So right there, they're pulling at your heartstrings, right? So the best thing to do is, of course, hang up and verify the caller's story. Call somebody that knows your grandson or this family member calling you. Even if they say, don't tell Mom, oh well, you know what?
So 226 reported in Vermont?
Yes, just in Vermont.
And here's the thing. That's just the number reported.
That's just a number reported, and I can tell you about 75% of these presentations that I do, somebody says, I've gotten that call and I've lost money to it. Anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 gone. Okay, and it happens quick because you're in a panic. You don't know.
And then, if you throw into the mix, someone who's elderly with a pinch of dementia.
Right.
Or what have you.
Or they're living in isolation. They don't get to see family members very often. They don't get to see people very often.
Sure.
And so they figure, well, it's me or nobody else is going to help this person. What I recommend is that having a code word with family members is helpful. I have folks who said, I got this call, but I knew it was not my grandchild because they never call me grandma, they call me Meme.
Yeah.
I have folks who got this call and said, they called me and told me that they were my grandson. I said, oh, that's funny because my grandson's sitting right next to me on the couch.
Yes.
I had another woman who said, I got that call and I told that person, yeah, right, you're not getting my money, and I hung up, and it turns out it really was my grandson. But you know what? Better to be safe than sorry.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So
Of course.
I would say majority of the time you get this call, it's not going to be your grandchild.
Wow.
Yeah. And they'll use other family members, your sister, your cousin.
Yeah.
People get messages on Facebook.
Right. Well, most
saying
people
they're
have
a
listed
relative.
on Facebook who their relatives are,
Exactly. Yeah, and people's
who their family is.
Facebook accounts are getting hacked all the time,
Sure.
it seems. That's a whole other presentation.
Social media.
Debt collection threats is the next one. 207 of these were reported. And this is much like the IRS scam, where somebody will call you and say, you owe on this credit card bill and you need to pay right away. And if you don't pay, we're going to do this to you.
We'll take your car.
Exactly.
Whatever.
We're going to threaten you. You're going to have to pay for this today. And they scare you, you know.
Oh,
so,
sure.
So,
And they know your bank.
they know, right. And but something to note here is, even if it was a legitimate debt collection agency, it's illegal for them to make threats. They can tell you you owe something, but they can't make you pay over the phone. Just something to keep in mind.
Wow.
All right.
Even if it's medical.
Right. Well, yeah. Wow. So the next one, the spoofed phone calls. This is what I think should be illegal at some point.
What is this?
This is, so when you were saying I only answer the phone if I recognize the area code, if it's 802.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somebody local. You
Sure.
pick it up.
Got to be.
Well, now there's this thing called caller ID spoofing, and there are services where you can make your phone number look like another number. So those phone calls that you're getting that say 802 may not be coming from Vermont, or have the 476 first three digits. They might not be coming from Barrie. They may they're having it look that way, so you think that they are. So you can't even trust your caller ID anymore. If you have a caller ID that says the name of the caller, that can be spoofed as well. So about 2 years ago, Northern Vermont Regional Hospital in St. Johnsbury, a bunch of patients one morning started getting phone calls. Their caller ID said at NVRH, and they were being told, you have past hospital bills that you need to pay, and you can pay them over the phone. And people were paying them over the phone.
Oh, my God.
And then quickly found out that it was a scam. And so an alert was issued to that area to let folks know. So what we recommend is, if you get a call, and the caller ID is your doctor's office, a hospital, a utility company that you're familiar with and that you use, if they call and tell you, you owe us money, you have to pay over the phone. First of all, they won't demand it over the phone. But if you think you even owe, or if you're not even sure if you really do owe, just hang up on them and call the hospital, call your doctor's office or the
Sure.
utility company back with the number that you have for them, that you have on your bill.
Yeah.
Because then they would become aware to the fact that somebody is using their name
Sure.
to try
Of
to
course.
collect money. And really, they want your money. They don't want the scammers to get your money. So yeah, the scary part is you can't even trust your caller ID. And as technology advances, so do the scams.
Yeah.
So there's always something new happening each year. Yeah.
It's in the news all the time.
In the news, yeah.
In Vermont, everywhere.
And it's good to be reminded of it, too, because, again, we are moving in such a fast-paced world, right?
Sure.
So just being reminded, just be vigilant.
Yeah.
Can't always trust who you see on that caller ID. This one is pretty new. Speaking of caller IDs, it's called Reflector Scam. And so you ever get a phone call and the caller ID shows your own number?
I have.
Yeah. And my husband got this a couple weeks ago as well. And he's like, what is going on? So it's called a reflector scam. And so you pick up the phone and somebody's there. They're saying they're from Microsoft software, some tech place, and they use this technical jargon to try to sound legitimate and say, oh, your computer IP address has been compromised, and that's why your phone lines are crossing, and we need to fix that for you. But in order to do that, we need to do whatever. We need to actually get into your computer, get access to your computer, or you need to pay us, or something.
Yeah.
Some elaborate way for you to hand over your money or your access to your computer. So again, that's a scam. Okay, that's a new way of getting people.
For me, that would be a red flag if my own phone number was coming up.
Yeah, and I think people think, right? They think that, or they think, well, that is weird. Something must be happening,
Yeah.
with my computer, and they say they can fix it for me, and they're calling from Microsoft. So yeah, and there are people that do give access to their computer to these scammers, so then they can have control of everything in their computer, and then they wipe everything out of their computer. Yeah, it's sick. And then you have your good old-fashioned email extortion scams. These are back on the list. I don't think it was in the top 10 last year, and I get these on my work email every day. 117 of these were reported. Remember the Nigerian prince scam? Yeah, that still goes around. That still goes around. The money laundering scams. I got one at my office, on my office email, saying that you don't know who I am, but I know who you are, and I got access to your video on your computer, and I have footage of you looking at some questionable sites,
porn or
online.
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay me $1,000, I'm going to release that footage to all your work colleagues.
Wow.
Which makes me crack up laughing, because it's like, oh, I'd love to see that. But they're banking on somebody who actually did do that.
Yes.
And will try to, oh my gosh, freak out and have to pay $1,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
117 reported.
117 reported.
It's got to be a lot more than that.
Oh yeah. Netflix. This is a fake email from Netflix. They'll tell you update your payment information. Click here. A big red flag in emails when they tell you need to update information, whether it be your username, your password, your payment information, or whatever. A big red flag is the link that just says click here. Okay, because if you just were to click there, it will bring you to a website that is fake, made to look like the real thing, where you then enter your information, and then the scammer has that information. And I do graphic design. I could tell you it's very easy to create a website to look like the real thing.
Very easy.
Yeah. So if you ever get these emails, from Netflix or Amazon or any place that says you need to update your payment information, don't click on any link in that email. Go to the site itself and do it there.
Get off that email.
Yeah, get off.
Delete
trash that email.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next two have to do with winning prizes.
Yeah.
So 105 reported just for Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes claim scams, and 92 just for general sweepstakes claims, prizes, lotteries, etc.
State of Vermont.
Right. So you know about Publishers Clearinghouse,
Sure.
right? Okay. Well, first of all, with any of these prizes, in order to win, you have to play. That's number one. The second thing with Publishers Clearinghouse, if you were to receive that big $10 million prize at $7,000 a week prize
and
for the rest of your life, you would actually get the camera, the balloons, the flowers, I don't know, it's a famous celebrity to come to the house,
and
to
they literally
give you
would,
the giant check.
And they would literally come to your house.
And they come to your house and they say, here you go, you've won.
That's how you...
Photo opportunity, and they leave.
Right.
Okay. The scam is if they were to call you ahead of time and tell you, you've won, but in order to collect your winnings, you need to pay, 0.2% of your winnings to pay for any processing and handling and
even a
attorney fees.
Even a small
even
amount.
$20.
$20.
Even $20.
But it's the access to your account information.
It's access to the account, but it's also giving money. Yeah.
Of course.
So either way, if you are a real winner, you do not pay out from any of your winnings prior to getting your money. And you pay during tax time, that's a whole different story. So if you were to win $200, you win that full $200. Okay? They don't say, oh, you've won $200, but you owe us $10, for lawyer fees. That's a scam. So I had a woman who said, I got a call from Publishers Clearinghouse. They told me I won $200 and that the check would be in the mail. And I was like, okay. And she's like, yeah, okay, right? And so the check came. She got a check for $200 from Publishers Clearinghouse. Legitimately. Yeah, and that was a legitimate check.
But she didn't.
But she didn't have to pay out anything.
Right. She didn't pay out anything or provide any information.
Right. She played, so she knew she played. But so that was a legitimate thing.
Ugh.
So, yeah. Yep. So again, the red flags. If any caller or emailer is asking or demanding your social security number, credit card information, banking information, verifying your full name, verifying your address, phone number, birth date, verifying family members' information, or any personal information, just
anything,
hang up. Right. If the call is coming from them and they're asking for any of this information, hang up.
Or
trash
we say verifying, but even
just saying, verifying or just
confirming
or asking, anything where they're trying to get this information out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Just hang up. Yeah.
It's scary how much they can know about you.
It is. And who are these scammers? We don't know. We have no idea.
I was going to ask you, one of the questions I had for you is, where are these robocalls coming from in Vermont?
I don't even think they're coming from Vermont. Most likely they're nowhere in Vermont. They may not even be in the country. So there's and they move fast.
Yeah, of course.
So we can't, especially everybody's got a cell phone.
Yeah.
Burner phones. People use burner phones. So the cell phones scam 10 people, get rid of the phone. There's no way to track them.
Interesting.
So there was a YouTube video I watched of an IT person who was able to track down scammers in India and was able to find them. And he was able to get access to their computer. And you can see the room they worked in was this tiny, room with like 5 or 6 people in it. And they were working on these lists of people who have been scammed before. Yeah. So, you don't know where they're coming from. You think they're calling from a call center, in some major city. They're not. So who's at risk of being targeted? Everyone.
And that's why
everybody.
And that's another reason why I had to have you on this show, is because this is not something that's just for the elderly.
No. It's everybody is targeted. Everybody has the potential to lose money.
Some scams that are targeted for millennials.
Oh,
who
yeah.
are supposed to be bulletproof here.
Right. And the new one is coming from student loans. Student loan companies calling up folks just graduating from school and saying, if you need to start paying on your student loan now, and if you don't, you're going to get blacklisted from getting a job or some other threat.
Wow.
Business people get targeted because they're looking for a deal, and there really is no deal. People looking to rent apartments who are looking for housing may answer an ad of apartments for rent, and then all of a sudden they're told, oh, you have to pay a viewer's fee. and here's the link to pay for that.
And these are all things that we're desperate for. We're desperate for that apartment.
Right.
It's something that has to happen now. So it's hitting a hitting a nerve with us.
Yep.
We're desperate not to lose our business.
Right.
We have everything invested in it. We're scared that we could lose our business. So you're going to fall for that one.
Right.
A family member.
Right. Yep.
Maybe you have children. You don't want to put them in risk, so you're
Exactly.
afraid you're going to lose your house or your
Exactly.
car or your job
Yeah.
or oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And so we go around and we tell people these stories so that they're aware. Okay, these are potentially how folks can call you and what they will say. And you know what? It's okay to hang up the phone.
Yeah.
It's okay not to believe what you read
Sure.
on that email. And especially with older Vermonters, when I was younger, I was taught to be respectful of whoever called on the telephone.
Yes.
It was like a visitor coming
Yes.
to your house,
Yes.
So to this day, it's hard for me to just hang up on somebody.
Yeah.
I'm every salesperson's dream.
Of course.
Really.
Of course.
But that all goes out the window, especially, you need to save your money,
Right.
your finances. People lose their entire life savings
Yeah.
to scams and fraud.
You've heard some unbelievable horror stories.
Yes, I have. And, again, those were only the top 10. One of the other big scams that are happening across the country and in Vermont are through online dating apps and services. There's a lot of people losing money that, over periods of time. Through online dating scams and frauds, and I do presentations just on that because that is the hardest. Those are the hardest types of scams and fraud to get the victim to report, and they also can happen over a period of time. Sometimes they're in a relationship with this person for months, and during that time, they're giving
or maybe
them
they're seeking
money.
a relationship that they shouldn't be seeking.
Exactly.
And there's, obviously, we need to be hush about that. And, it's the kind of, or maybe it's legitimate loneliness, but
Right.
they've got a connection going with someone that may not be legit.
Right.
And if they want to see any more or see a
Yep.
picture or if they want to continue that
Yeah.
communication,
Yeah.
it's $2.99.
Yeah, and there are signs. There
Sure.
are signs, of if the person could potentially be real or fake
Yeah.
on that dating site. It's and they tug at your heartstrings.
Of course.
And some people who are meeting people on dating sites and losing money to them, they may know in the back of their head that this may not be a real person, but it's the only person that is saying "I love you"
Sure.
and complimenting them
Yes.
every day.
Complimenting you, whatever.
So folks who are living in isolation are more vulnerable to something like this. And so as a community, I think it's important that we, even if we aren't prone to getting these calls, just be aware of them so that we can be there for other people who we know could potentially fall victim to them. Check in on neighbors who
of course.
you don't
see
see
here,
coming out very often.
Right. Where signs of someone being victimized.
Victimized, yeah. So
They
these
keep
are
the junk mail.
Yeah. Do they receive a lot of junk mail and keep them? I mean, what do you do when you receive junk mail?
Toss it.
Usually toss it. If somebody gets junk mail and says, no, do not throw that out. There's a good deal on that. I need to read through that, put that on the pile.
Oh, yeah.
They may be believing everything they read.
Of course.
So they, may need a little direction. Do they have a home full of cheap-looking goods, such as jewelry and health products, that doesn't have anything to do with their personal taste? It has everything to do with the subscription purchases, because sometimes you buy something, and then little do you know, you've signed up for a monthly subscription, and you keep getting a product every month. Your credit card keeps getting debited every month, and you don't know how to stop it. And there are people who don't know how to stop it, and so they just keep getting these things every month. And the company doesn't make it easy for them to cancel. So
that
it's just
happened to
very
me with
fraudulent.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Other ones are, do they get frequent calls from strangers and stay on the line with them?
Sure.
Meaning, they're giving them too much information. These are professional criminals. I mean, I've had folks say, "Oh, I like to joke around with the scammer."
Yeah.
And I said, but the longer you're on the phone with them,
I've done that.
The more information they can extract. Even if you don't say anything, if they hear a dog barking in the background, they know you have a dog, and may use that against you sometime in the future. Say they're calling from animal control.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I've joked around with them.
Yeah, and it is fun.
It is.
It's
a
tempting
lot of fun.
to do, but again, they are professional criminals. So 211 is a very, very important number, and in Vermont's 211 is such a great service. So when I started doing this work, I knew that there were a number of other organizations around the state doing the same thing, giving information on how to not lose your money to scams and fraud, and also giving out contact information for who to report to. But they were all different numbers. So if the Attorney General's office was giving the presentation, they'd give their number, AARP would give their number, and it's fine. If you know that's who you need to call, that's okay. But do you have their numbers memorized all the time?
Right.
I don't.
They're a source for all of this.
So 211, it's already set up. They are a wonderful telephone resource organization, and if you want to report a scam or have questions about scam or fraud, you can call 211 and let them know and ask for help. The beauty of 211 is that a live person will answer, and they can walk you through the process.
Right.
Because depending on the type of call that you received, because Attorney General's office, they do consumer scams and fraud. Department of Financial Regulation does investment and banking. Vermont Legal Aid, they help a lot with real estate fraud and scams. So you want to make sure you go to the right place. And then, so 211 can walk you through that process, they will even call the organization with you on the line if you don't want to do it yourself. But they are also wonderful in that they can give you all other types of information, like where the closest polling place is, if there's a natural disaster, where's the closest shelter, veteran services, anything like that.
Sure.
So 211 is a great number to call. And again, we do this to stay informed, be aware, and keep the discussion going. And every time I do these presentations, I learn of something new every time. Like somebody shares a story, or somebody shares a new type of scam. So it's
overwhelming.
It's happening all the time, and it's just going to keep happening.
There are a few folks up at my mom's nursing home that have cell phones, and some of them quite cognitive.
Oh yeah.
Others not so much. And I just, oh my God, it just seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, some folks at some point, we just shouldn't have a cell phone.
Right. Right.
At some point, and I don't say that to be mean at all, but they can be more of a nuisance and more of a frustration factor, and a dangerous. It can be something that causes a lot of harm.
It's true, and it's just like signing up for sweepstakes every time you go to some expo or something. And just you giving out personal information, you just never know where that information is going to go.
Of course.
So just being vigilant and second guessing everything is very helpful. And because, again, it is so much better to be safe than sorry.
Second guess everything, including the person that is calling you that you may be on the phone with right now.
Right.
Marichel, this is, I have to tell you, this is one of the best shows. This has been some of the most informative stuff that we've had on Aired Out so far. One of the goals that I have is to solve problems on Aired Out, and to do just that, air out anything, good or not so good.
Right.
And today it's not so good, but knowledge is power.
It is.
If you've got it, you'll win every time.
And I think, for yourself, for other people around you, for your community, for your neighbors, just, and being able to share this information to somebody who doesn't go out to presentations or to their senior centers or to community lunches.
Exactly.
Those are the folks that really need the information.
I'm telling you, folks, if you're watching this now, please copy this link, share this link on your social media, send it to whomever you think would benefit from this. It doesn't matter how old they are. Everybody needs a protective barrier against scams and fraud. And remember 211 if you have any questions. Marichel Vaught is with the Community of Vermont Elders.
Yes.
And you go everywhere.
I go everywhere and anywhere all over the state. Last week I was in Newfane, Canaan, Randolph.
How can people get in touch that are watching right now? How can people get in touch with you?
Well, my email, I can give my email, which is Marichel, Marichel, at vermontelders.org.
Okay, and I'll tell you what I'll do is, if I have your permission, I'll put that on Facebook.
Very happy to.
As well as YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I go around. I do these presentations. They're free.
Yeah.
I do talks on online dating and social media use.
Yeah, real niche stuff.
Yeah. So
it's great.
Happy to share the information.
Thank you for coming in here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
How about these beautiful tables from Fontaine Forestry? Aren't they amazing? Fontaine Forestry and Millworks.
The nice thing is nobody can walk away with them.
No. Well, you can try, but you might throw a disc.
Yeah.
They're over in East Montpelier. Custom orders, rough cut, plain, tongue and groove, shiplap, kiln dried. They do it all over there. Hemlock bark mulch as well. Just down below Bragg Farm, Route 14. Our presenting sponsor, Fontaine Forestry and Millworks. And cruise planners right here in central Vermont, land or sea, vacations designed with that personal touch that you deserve. Donna's going to be on the show with me real soon, and we're cooking up some good stuff. YourVoyagePlanner.com or on Facebook. CW Print and Design in Barrie, CWPrintDesign.com, CBDCrave.com. Quench the Crave. FGB Theaters, we got Yesterday, which is coming out in theaters Thursday night. I'll be live out in front of the Capitol Showplace in Montpelier with Aired Out as we get ready for the debut of that film called Yesterday. Capitol Showplace, Montpelier, Paramount Theater in Barrie, of course, and home of the FGB movie card where you get that $5 ticket Tuesday. Donnybrook Fight Promotions everywhere on social media, and DonnybrookFP.com. Thanks to also Peak Entertainment of Vermont and New Hampshire, peakdj.com. Thanks to Tony Campos and Abubakar, Fly on the Wall Productions, bringing it to you. Aired Out. I'm J.D. Green on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.